Where we're standing today is Blanket Bog. It's internationally important. The UK has about 14% of the world's blanket bog. It's an immensely important carbon store, which helps mitigate against climate change. But we get about 45% of our water that we supply to our customers comes from these habitats.
Blanket bog is formed in areas where the peat is over 40 centimetres deep, so that's quite a big distance of soil that we're looking at. So a lot of our degraded peatlands, the soils are very thin because the vegetation's been lost and the soil has washed off, and that's where we've lost all of our carbon. So what we're trying to do is bring that back so that that soil can retain and grab hold of that carbon in the atmosphere instead of letting it go. So by vegetating the peat and ensuring that it stays there, and by putting the peat growing sphagnum back into the landscape, we're then looking to increase the depth of that soil so that it's taking more carbon from the atmosphere.
We've played a significant role in breaking down barriers over how the landscapes can be managed, developed a consensus that we all moorland stakeholders agreed on, which ultimately developed the government's blanket bog restoration strategy. That in itself will set a better direction for the whole of the English uplands, not just Yorkshire Waters land. I think we're incredibly privileged to be able to play a role in that and help set a better direction for these landscapes that's allowing us to plant more of this stuff and get more of this sphagnum moss that can hold 8 times its weight in water, so it really helps mitigate against downstream flooding. And we've also produced this document, which is what we call practical guidance for land managers. So if you're a gamekeeper or a land manager, this document helps you develop the techniques that you need to do to get your piece of land into a better condition.
The aim of the National Trust is to protect land and places for people forever. 90% of the UK's peatlands have been lost, and a lot of that has been degraded through poor management, and we're working with Yorkshire Water and our tenants and other landowners to restore that peatland and get it back to a functioning state where it's maintaining water, where it's collecting carbon rather than releasing carbon, and where it's providing good habitats for ground nesting birds, for the variety of species that live in that space.
We're lucky throughout Yorkshire because in these upland habitats we have internationally important migrating waders, so birds like curlew, golden plover, dunlin, snipe. We also have some birds of prey like merlin, short-eared owl, and they breed on these habitats. They're all ground nesting birds, so these moorlands, and these particularly around the peat and the mosaic of habitats that make these moorlands, blanket bogs as well as dry heaths, are vital for these birds to survive into the future.